Welcome to the third public demo of 2012. My name is Christian Teuschl. I'm part of the RIPEstat development team. And yeah, the purpose of this demo is to show new features and improvements which we added since the last public demo. So we're gonna start out with a brief introduction of RIPEstat for RIPEstat newcomers, explaining RIPEstat fundamentals. After that, we will highlight newly added features, which we will showcase on the live site during the third part. Following that, we will sketch our future directions and talk about planned features in the future perspective sections. Since we are heavily depending on our users' feedback, we'll finally recap the feedback channels. So let's start with what RIPEstat is about. First of all, RIPEstat is a modular, extendable toolbox developed at the RIPE NCC. It should become the single interface to all internet-related data for network troubleshooting, data analysis, as well as scientific research. But the most important point is to be your tool. To achieve this goal and make it really the tool you want, we started to listen to our users from the early beginning. This is reflected in the way RIPEstat is developed. It is work in progress, driven by user feedback. And to keep you updated about features added and planned, we're having public and periodic demos like this one. So if you want to help us and make RIPEstat that tool, get involved. In the last part of the demo, we'll come back to this and talk about the appropriate channels for providing feedback to us. There's much more to talk about the concept that we have made their way into RIPEstat, and for details about that, we like to refer you to the previous demo recordings. But there's one important concept that we'd like to recap before we go on. And that basic concept are the two layers of RIPEstat. So first of all, we have the first layer, which is called RIPEstat data. It is a RESTful-like API that provides the pure data. The second layer is RIPEstat widgets, which act as a user interface for the RIPEstat data API. The basic implementation of the RIPEstat widgets are embeddable Ajax plugins. It makes it a bit clearer if we take a look at the different side layers are positioned. So the server side will be the RIPEstat data, whereas the widgets are running on the client side, so basically in the browser. And there's one place where we actually embed all the widgets, and that will be RIPEstat web, or it could also be your website. That takes us to the new features we're talking about in this demo, and we'll start with a summary. A very important change is related to our integration of the RIPE NCC Access, which is the RIPE NCC single sign-on solution on RIPEstat. This allows the use of one login and password combination across all RIPE NCC services that have this already integrated, like the LIR portal, RIPE Atlas, or RIPE Labs. With this change, we didn't just open the door for a smoother user experience across our services, but also a lot of other benefits like enhanced page customization and access to user-specific features. We also added two new widgets. The AS Neighbors, which let you take a closer look at neighboring ASs, including up and downstream providers, as well as peers of an AS. The next one is the geolocation history, which takes the functionality of our not-so-new geolocation view and adds history to it. As promised at our last public demo, that we are exploring the possibilities to have filter options for our widgets, and we did it as a first step on the routing history widget, which was also transferred from an ordinary view to a widget. So you can use it on your own website as well. Besides, prefix count, prefix size distribution, and announced prefixes also got converted to be embeddable widgets, along with general improvements to the user interface. That takes us to the next section, which will be the live demo. For that, we're going to switch to browser and to the live site. We're talking about the SSO integration. The first prominent indication that we have SSO enabled on the side is the sign-in link. And we have actually three features that are bound to the SSO, to the single sign-on user identification, and we're going to explore them by first loading a prefix 14078/16. So what I want to do is to customize the page, which was already possible before, but right now we're gonna bind the page customization to the user instead of the session. Because previously, if you removed your cache or if you changed to a different browser, you lost the user customization. If I want to customize the content, of course I have to sign in. If I'm not signed in, I will be redirected to the RIPE NCC access server, which asks me for my login credentials. If you don't have a user, you can easily create one by clicking to this link. After a successful login, I will be redirected to the RIPEstat page with the same prefix. Okay, first of all, let's try to customize the page. Basically, I just want to see the whois widget and prefix and the prefix geolocation history. So I disable all the other plugins and then lock the settings for now. Okay, after that, I'm gonna sign out from the page, and we're gonna switch to a different browser. And as we said before, it's a single sign-on, so it actually takes your credentials and your login information and puts you in the position to log in on any of the RIPE NCC services and then being used on RIPEstat. So I'm gonna log in on RIPE Labs with my account to test if it's possible to take my login information to RIPEstat. Yes, okay, all right. So from there, I'm gonna switch to RIPEstat, and as we can see, I will be immediately logged in on the page. What we also can see is that the query history in a way becomes more customized. As before, we also had it bound to the session, which came with the downside of losing your query history when you cleared your cache or if you changed the browser. Another important thing that came with the SSO integration is about the comments. Right now, if you want to leave a comment and you're logged in as a user, you can do as usual, and it will immediately show up on the page. If you're not logged in, the comment will actually need some kind of approval before it will be visible on the page. Okay, so if I'm gonna query for 193/16, we should see the page customization, and as we can see here, it took it from the other browser to this browser, and it only shows the whois widget and the new prefix geolocation history. As one change to the whois widget is that we added routing objects. Then another new feature is the new geolog history widget, which we can see here. The geolocation history widget uses the geolocation history data call, which is based on Maxmine GeoCity Lite data. Right now, it's only supports prefixes, but the support for ASNs is in the making. So, what can you do? What can it do for you? First of all, it aims to show you geographical information where the address space is assumed to be used, and that, of course, over time. We have two different views on the geographical distribution. The first one is with countries, so it aggregates the usage on country level, and the other one is on a city level. For both, we're gonna support some kind of filter, which is called the top 5, which shows you or restricts the shown data to the most important countries, top 5 countries or cities. If we deselect it, we will see that there are much more countries, and it will also show the less important countries. So if we are coming to the interpretation of the data, what does it actually mean? If we don't have 100%, it doesn't mean that the space is not assigned. It just means that there is no geographical data available for this one. So if we are talking about other features of the widget, then first of all we can see that we have some kind of tooltip functionality, which shows you the exact percentage of the address space usage in a specific country. Another one is that you can deselect or specific data series. So if you want to focus to one specific country, then you can use the deselect all button and enable just this specific one. Sometimes it might be that the percentage is a bit too low, and that's why we have another feature, which is the zoom functionality, which allows you to dig into the details a bit closer. Another feature of this widget is that we are trying to explicitly state what the covered time frame of the shown data is, which you can see under the graph. So this data is valid from, and as you can see it here, it covers 1 year starting from last month. If you want to have more details about the data, then we also provide you with a tabular view of the data, and I mean, as you can see, we still have some kind of problems with special characters, but that should also be fixed in the upcoming weeks. So what can you do with the table view? I mean, you can sort and filter the data there. So for example, if I want to see what is the geographical usage in Austria, then I just enter AT for Austria in the search box, and then I can see the distribution for Austria and the details for each of the countries and cities. To show the other new features on RIPEstat, we have to load an ES, and I'm gonna take the ES of the RIPE-NCC. As you can see, I already customized the page to just show the widgets I want to present right now. So 7 other views, respectively widgets, are hidden. Okay, the first one is the announced prefixes, which didn't change its basic functionality, but it became a widget. So basically you can include it in your own page. Then the next widget, or the next view that got widgetized along with some improvements, is the prefix count. The prefix count gives you a view of 2 different sections. First of all is the prefixes, which gives you the number of prefixes announced by this AS, separated by IPv4 and IPv6. The second one is the address space, and the address space basically gives you an insight into how many IP addresses are announced by this AS, and they are in a way aggregated. So instead of showing just the number of IP addresses and to compare IPv4 and IPv6 address space, we aggregated the IPv4 addresses into the number of /24s and the IPv6 address space into /32. That allows to show IPv4 address space as well as IPv6 address space on the same diagram. As another neat feature, you can disable one of the data series. So in this case, if I disable the IPv4 address space, then the view will jump just to the IPv6 address. Well, Then the next new widget is the prefix size distribution. This view was also widgetized along with enhancements to the user interface. In this case, we also have a prefix view and an address space view. So first about the prefix view. In the shape, I mean, you remember the previous shape of the pie chart that got converted into a more elaborated donut shape with an inner donut and an outer donut. The inner donut gives you the relationship of the number of announced prefixes between IPv4 and IPv6. So in this case, we see that we have 6 IPv4 prefixes announced and 2 IPv6 prefixes. The outer donut classifies the prefixes not only into IP version but also prefix size. So in this case we have got 5/23 IP prefixes, IPv4 prefixes versus only 1/21 IPv4 prefixes. Then the view about the address space compares the covered address space separated into IPv4 and IPv6. So in the left pie chart, we can see that the total amount of IP addresses covered by 5/23 prefixes is almost the same as 1/21 prefix. The next new widget is the AS neighbor widget. Actually, I'm not going into much details about this one since we have covered the data call for AS neighbors already in the previous demo. But just as a quick recap, the AS neighbors widget visualizes the data call that shows the neighboring ASs, which could include up or downstream providers as well as peering ASs. And as with many other widgets, we're gonna show a table view which can be filtered and sorted. And as a highlight, there is again explicit information about when the data that is shown is actually valid. The next enhanced widget, or basically it was a view which got widgetized and also enhanced, is the routing history. To show you the filter options for this one, we're gonna change to the direct view and query for a different AS that makes the use of the filters actually usable. Okay, as you can see, the routing history is based on routing data, and as with routing data, sometimes there might be data in there or information that could be considered as noise or junk. And one of these types might be a prefix that's announced for a very short time, or prefixes that are a bit with a prefix size that are a bit too short. And that's why we're gonna have the new filters, the short time span filter and the large prefix filter, which in this case hides 4 prefixes. So if we disable the short time span filter, which filters all the prefixes that are announced for less than 2 days, then we're gonna see 4 additional prefixes, for example the /21, which was only announced for less than 2 hours. In this case, we don't see a prefix that's large enough, but the filter would actually act on all prefixes that are less than /8. For the changes to the routing history widget, and there's actually another novelty that's not actually on RIPEstat but related to it. The RIPE-NCC database group has added a feature to the web interface that let you directly jump to RIPEstat for every INET6 num auth_num, route, and route6 object. So for that we're gonna go to their interface. I mean, you see that it's right now in on a development machine, but on Tuesday it will be deployed to production. So if we just take an AS number and query for it, we said that for an auth_num object you're gonna have a link directly to RIPEstat. And here we are. So next to the update delete we have this more info from RIPEstat button, and if we click it we will get directed to RIPEstat with hopefully the right AS, and here we go. Okay, so that's the live part of the demo, and so in a way we can go back to the presentation and just take a quick look on what's coming next. So for the future direction, we'll put a strong focus on the graphical representation of the RIPE database, or you might also know it as RIPE-Whois. First of all, we are planning to have an address space hierarchy widget. As the name implies, it's a widget that lets you click through the hierarchy of address space as it appears in the RIPE database. The basic functionality is that you see the INET or INET6 num object that's close to your search query in the middle. On top, we show its less specific address ranges, and on the bottom, you will be seeing its more specific address ranges. Again, as it appears in the RIPE database. By clicking on one of the less or more specific results, it's possible to switch the focus on the present hierarchy and take it from there. The next planned widget is the RIPE database object browser widget. This widget will also let you browse through the RIPE database objects, but its focus lies on the relationship between INET_num, INET6_num, auth_num, route, role, person, and maintainer objects. Both widgets should provide a richer interface to the RIPE database. We are also going to explore more ways to take advantage of the user customization. So, for example, show assignments for LIR users. And as an ongoing process, we're going to work on the RIPEstat Data API and the RIPEstat Widget API. Well, as we mentioned in the introduction, that we are coming back to the feedback. So basically, we want you to play with RIPEstat, with the web page, as well as with the Data API and the Widget API, and provide us with feedback. You can get detailed information about the Widget API and the Data API under the stated links here. There are various ways to give us feedback. Most obvious one is to leave a comment on the website, as well as you can use the measurement analyze and tools working group, webpage, or the mailing list. You can also give us a direct feedback by sending a mail to stat.ripe.net, or on Twitter you can use the hashtag RIPEstat. So before we conclude this demo, we would like to ask you, since we introduced this new demo format at the beginning of the year, if there is anything we should change about it. So maybe we should cut down the length of the demo, or maybe the iterations. So instead of presenting the demo every month, we could switch to a iteration that covers the new features and improvements every 2 months. Okay, all right. That means that this is the end of this demo, and the next demo will be a public and also a live demo, and it will be held during one of the BOF sessions at the RIPE meeting, so RIPE 64 in Ljubljana. As with all the other demos, you can get this session and and slides archived on RIPE Labs, as well as you can see recordings of the previous demos on the YouTube channel of the RIPE NCC. Okay, then thanks for your participation.